Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, and Craig's Crown Cutz, downtown Johnson City. Spreading love the Tri-City way is one way, but you know what? The major way to spread love is the Crown Cutz way. Today we're going to have a banging episode. We got my first time on there, and but first, let me introduce my co-host, himself in person. He got a special guest.
Yeah. Ammi Fields, Ammi your barber. I got my son with me. You know how it is. You got to manage things. We real people too.
Oh yeah, of course. You got to be real people.
Yes, sir.
And our guest.
I'm Randall Ford. I've been on here a couple times, but you can find me at Ford_Fades on Instagram. And you know, it's a blessing to have a new space and how nice it is.
And then in person, who is this in person? Introduce yourself, ma'am.
Rebecca Swanson. You can find me on Instagram at Barber_Bex.
And again, me, the co-host, Craig Charles. And this again, welcome you guys to another episode of Barber College Success, where you can come and learn how you can pick up some gems, how you can just be introduced to this industry. We're going to we got a banging episode today. We're in a new studio, but hey, it's a fresh start for the new year. We're going to bang y'all out. Today we're going to talk about how to manage your time, how to organize, how to prioritize. Because some people have kids and some people have things to do, but the important thing to do when you come to school is how to manage your time, how to make it work for you. So we're going to talk about that today, because I think a lot of students out there have the misconception that they're the only ones who are going through things, and it kind of stops them from, it delay their progress in school. It delay their time it takes them to finish school. And today we're just going to help you out and talk about that. Like my guy, Ammi, he brought his son today.
Yeah, brought his son. It's a good episode of Bring a Kid, right?
Yeah, Mr. Z. I call him Mr. Z. Ammi, you got to introduce Mr. Z. I call him Mr. Z, but introduce your son.
Yeah, it's my son, Azariah. He's 5 months old. You know, he's been through a lot, man. You know, God wanted him here. Azariah means God has helped, because, you know, we almost lost him and his mom, but thank God he's here, you know. And that's, family's always most important, but sometimes students will their investment, their priorities are not lined up as they should.
Right.
One time I heard a student say, "Can't go to school today. My kid has a softball game." And I respect you want to support your children, but you know you're making an investment for the benefit of your child's future. You know, and he's gonna have many, God willing, many more softball, baseball, sports events. You know, as long as your child is fed and somebody's taking care of them, you need to prioritize getting through school. And the quicker you get done with school, the sooner you'll be there for your children. The more time you're gonna have, the more flexibility you're gonna have in this industry for your kids. Exactly. And to get something, you gotta invest in something. You gotta, and I hate using the word sacrifice. That's why I switched the word to invest. So, but hearing, when you think about sacrificing, Rebecca, what comes to mind?
For me, I feel like, especially right now with school and work, my time is very limited with anything else outside of that. Right. So sometimes I might want to go hang out. I might want to go I get a call and they're like, "Hey, there's a party going on. You got to come." And I'm like, I got school in the morning, but I know that, and I mean, it sucks not to be there with them. Right. And go to the party and hang out with my friends and do all that. But then I'm like, listen, I got a goal, so I might not be able to party right now. Right. But once I get out of school and I'm doing the thing, we're gonna be partying on a whole nother level. That's what's up. And it's not even like parties, but hanging out, being able to do things that we've never been able to do, because I missed that one little party, did my school, and then now I can do other stuff. And it's understandable, and sometimes it's not understandable, because a lot of times people think that they are missing out. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of times people don't respect our industry, because we don't respect our industry. Because most professions out there, you have to invest in yourself and do some type of sacrifice to get there. Because if you go to law school, could you use that same excuse that you're using for barber school?
Never. No. you go to law school, you miss a couple of days, they can like just get rid of you.
I mean, but in most profession, and that's what I tell students all the time, even like when you become a doctor, and that's how I look at our industry. Our industry is real prestigious. So our industry is up there with any major industry that there is. So if the success that you want out of this industry is the success that the footprints and the footsteps that you have to take.
And also, one thing that I've learned being in this industry, the more serious I take it, the more invites I get to these things. And then you gotta turn stuff down. You know, you have to turn things down. You can't go to everything. And
right.
Especially when you get busy and have a family and things of that nature, you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize your time. And sometimes there's things that you really want to go to and you just can't do. You just can't do them.
So
Responsibilities come first.
So I think about two students that come to mind in particular. And I'll call their names out. I don't think they mind calling their names out. So for instance, like Bo, someone like Bo who lives in Kentucky, who drives 2 hours each way to come to school.
In a diesel truck.
That's tough.
2 hours each way. And I never heard.
To our school?
And went to the school in Bristol, my other school in Bristol.
Okay.
Never heard him complain at one time. But here's the caveat though. Bo went through a natural disaster. He had a flood up there in his hometown of Kentucky where the whole town was shut down. And this dude never skipped a beat. He's like, I got to go to school. I got to get this done.
He still knew life was going on. He still had to get something done.
Still knew life was.
Sit there in his sorrows. He got to move. He got to get it back. Just get it back.
But a lot of times it's how bad do you want it? I think Kobe said something one time. You got to want it as much as how. I can't remember exactly what he said. It was something about you have to want your success as much as you like to breathe.
Kobe was a different nature too when it came to that.
But we all are.
We all are human. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we all striving for success to do something.
The reason why he was one of the greatest is because he put in those extra hours before the game, extra hours after the game.
And that's what it takes.
The other athletes didn't.
And then think about.
He touched the fence.
Right. You remember that. And me saying.
I'm always going to remember that.
You know what I mean? So talk about that.
I don't know if he's told you about it or any of the other guys, but we was in there talking, whatever. We have these little powwows, which I like too, because we get to talk about certain things, get certain things off our mind, let Craig have certain ideas that we feel free or whatever. But anyways, he was talking about how everybody wants a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they want gratitude now. They want to do it then. They want everything now, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they want the tournament. I don't want to do it now. They've been in school 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? That type deal. But in life, Craig had a coach where he'd say, y'all go touch the fence, running suicides, just touch the fence and come back, touch the fence. No matter how tired or whatever the case may be, he would touch the fence. The coach ain't watching. Others will turn around, forget that happened, but whatever. But he made it a point to always complete the job and touch the fence, you know what I mean? And that's what I took from it as in, don't halfway do it. Do it all the way. If you want to do something, touch the fence. Do it all the way. You know what I'm saying? And it'll make you a better person.
And you're only doing it for yourself, Nobody, the coach didn't see you touch the fence. If you don't touch the fence, the only person you're cheating is yourself.
But the interesting thing about that, right, Ammi? So I went back home one time, and I was on a bus, and I seen this guy. I'm talking about after college, and we was touching the fence like in high school. So I went home, and I was on the bus one time, and this guy, he's like, Craig, what's up? How you doing? Heard you went down south, you playing football, you doing good, blah, 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 this and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm in the industry now. I'm a barber. I got a barber shop. He's like, Craig, I knew you was always going to make it. Because I remember when Coach said go touch the fence, you'd always go touch the fence, and everybody else would not.
Mm-hmm.
He remember that.
I'm going to remember that, and I'm just 32, so when I'm 72, if the Lord lets me, I'm going to remember that. I know I am. And I forget a lot of
You know what I'm saying? Little stuff like that. And that made me feel like, man, he was watching.
You don't know who, and that's another thing he said. Even if the coach ain't watching, but you never know who is watching.
Yeah, you say the example, just like Rebecca not going to the party. You know what I'm saying? Her friends are like, dang, she ain't going to party, and she's working for something. Like, what am I doing? I'm just going, you know what I'm saying? You can encourage your friends to want to work for something and make your circle grow.
But it's interesting because people are always watching. You never know who you are growing up with, who you are in barber school with, who is seeing you working hard, and they one day might get in this awesome opportunity where they own this big major company, and they're looking for someone to work for them. And the people who they will reference is the people who made a difference, the people who they seen
On the lowest, toughest level, and how they.
who never made excuses, people who were game changers while they were in school. And that's interesting, that's important.
That's like the first thing I think that came to mind, like when I get asked to go somewhere and I'm having to I'm like, no, I can't, I got school, or hey, I got to go to work and then I got school in the morning. Staying out tonight is just not in the cards. But like my friends, like I have like my one friend, we're really close, and she'll come up to me and she'll be like, we miss you when you're not there. But she's like, I can't tell you how proud I am, because she's like, you're really putting in the work. She's like, I've seen you from high school, I've seen you at your lowest, and now I'm seeing you kind of find your way, and you're putting in the effort. She was like, that's something a lot of people will not. She was like, you know how many college students were there and they're partying and they got an exam in the morning, and she was like, if you got a test in the morning, you won't even, you go to work, and as soon as you come home, you're in bed.
Well, most people use other people for motivation.
I never like staying up late and going out late like that, personally. Like, I did do it once or twice, literally. Like, that's about it. But past 12, 11, I feel
I gotta go to
my
bed.
body starts to feel sleepy and tired, so then I shut down. And I start,
Because
parties,
especially for like you going to any type of training that you're doing, but right now our particular field is barbering. You come to school tired and beat up and your mind's not in it. How are you going to learn? How are you going to grow? How are you going to learn?
You can't. And I'll sit, like, I have had problems sleeping before school, and as soon as those will be the worst days at school I have. If I can't fall asleep, and it's one of those nights where you just are up thinking about what's going on. Come to school, and it's my worst days. You can't even concentrate on anything. I'm doing my practicals. I'm crying. That was the one day you came out there and you're like, come outside with me. You need some air. I'm like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I can't get my shear work done. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Like, and then you feel like you're gonna give up, but I'm like, then I go sleep. I think about it. I'm like, I just acted a whole fool at school for no reason because I was tired. And I was like, but now I know, like, I gotta go to bed. I need my sleep. I need my rest in order to be the best I can be for the next day.
Of course, that's important. But think about
the powwows, like you were saying.
when we slow it down and just have a conversation.
And I like that because you learn a lot from that. Like the man that was sitting in a chair, we didn't know who that was. The other Craig.
Correct, yeah.
And he spoke a little bit and let us know from the outside in. He put in the work too.
There's another guy named Craig.
Like you said,
Yeah.
people see the Craig that got this, got that, doing good, got him a few things going, getting money, making whatever the case may be. But like you said, they didn't see the Craig with the two-share shop by yourself, just struggling for 15, 20 years. It took that long for you to get established where you are. They wanted 6 months after they signed the paper to go to school.
It's not realistic, man. You got to put in the time. You got to work at
You
it.
see that.
You have to build, and the time that you're putting in is you're building trust. You're building continuity. You're building people dependability. You're building predictability. You're building values. And all those things help your business to sustain. And people don't build trust in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It takes time. So when you build all that trust into yourself, into your business, it propels you to that next level because people know you're reliable and that you can be counted on.
And then like the same thing goes with relationships with like banks. Just like they need to know that you're reliable. They're not going to loan you money just because you have this and that. Sometimes it's about the relationship that you build with the bank at the same time. And I was wondering, is that Craig that owns the pawn shop, Craig? Is that the Craig?
No, it's another Craig.
Oh, it's more Craig?
Yeah, it's another Craig. And his son name is Craig, too.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And also in the industry, I love the fact that not only do we give back to the client, but we can show each other different things. And like the other day, when we was last in school.
Saturday?
The Clipper situation, I gave it to you. You gave
Right.
it to a student that needed the help, and it was Draco, and he came, he appreciated it, and gave me a hug.
No doubt.
And everything. And
That's big.
that just made me feel good to, help somebody that, if I'd have known he didn't have his set, I would have did that for him. But
Right.
for you to do that, it was just like God's work. Like he needed those.
Yep.
I appreciate that. He even sent me a video talking about they worked great. He did an amazing haircut and everything.
Yeah, he's
So
appreciative,
very
man.
appreciative of stuff, and I'm glad that he got it, because not saying no names about anybody else, but some students, they would have got them, took them, just trashed them,
Right.
just be hard on them, disappreciate them, whatever. That not good enough.
That's what's up, Z. I hear you, man. You want to speak too. That's Z in the background on the podcast. Z, this is your first official podcast. What do you think, Z?
Tell me what you think. You want to speak? Nope.
In due time, and he'll get on there.
He'll belt out in a
But I
minute.
agree with Randall.
That's some part of the.
What'd you say, Rebecca?
I agree with Randall on that one, because even before I went to school, Randall was cutting. When I came in through, Randall was cutting my hair. I was signing up for school, I think, at that point, and he was like, "No, I think that'll be good." Like he's motivated. Like he gave going to get haircuts there before going into school motivated me more, and like we learn a lot off each other that we don't even notice. Like the other day when you were cutting that one guy's hair for Austin, and you went, "Stop being so rough with your clippers," because I was like kind of, I don't know if I was like agitated or if I just wasn't paying attention, and now I'm like slowly putting my clippers down because I'm like, you're right, these are expensive clippers to just be tossing around, and it's little stuff, but some of it's like some stuff you learn is major, and then some stuff is just.
That's why it's called each one teach one. I mean, we learn from each other, and that's major.
You dropped the pair of clippers yet? You feel that heart stopping feeling where you
Yeah,
drop the pair of clippers?
You feel like you're dropping the baby, man.
I've dropped a few my old set because I have recently built up accumulated more clippers since the little incident.
Yeah.
But man, I dropped clippers. It just feels like I fell on my face.
Oh yeah, yes. It feels like you just cracked.
And then until the point I get and see that they're okay, if they're okay, I'm so stressed out.
But that's the point of the little details that count. So when you take advantage of the little details and you don't skip steps, you don't take nothing for granted. You appreciate all those little moments. Mm-hmm. You appreciate those. You're like, man, these clippers can't drop. This was gonna do the trick. These are things that's gonna take me to the next level. I love my craft so much. If these things drop, I feel like I'm just dropping my life.
How do you prioritize things, Craig? Because it seems like, for example, like you get a phone call in between. We're supposed to have a meeting today. How do you juggle everything? How do you Bristol School, Johnson City School, barbershop? How do you keep a level head to where it's not overwhelming?
I mean, you gotta understand that first off, when you have God in your life, and you understand you're not gonna have nothing that you can't handle.
It's a lot.
It is. You don't think of it as a lot because some people.
We do though.
I mean,
I'd be watching. I'm like, dang, how does he get all this done? Like,
but think about it though,
he was
man.
in Bristol
Some people.
taking pictures the same day he was in Kingsport. Johnson City. I'm like, dang.
But in life, right? A lot of people aspire to do things, to be great, to be on this level, and to be on that level is going to take some work. And you can't just start doing work and expect you to be in that level in a day. You have to be consistently doing work for a long period of time. And the longer it is you consistently doing what you like, the easier it becomes. Because if you look at it, like I said, everything that I do is around barbering. So I love every moment of it. It's my passion. So when it's your passion, it's a little bit more easier to prioritize. But if you're trying to do something that you're not in love with, it's going to be hard to prioritize. Yeah, it's a lot, but everything that I think about, everything that I'm doing, it's relating to barbering.
That's why, like, one of my favorite modern day philosophers is Naval Ravikant. And one thing he said, he was like, to you, it looks like work. To me, it's play.
Yeah.
So you had to work twice as hard to compete with me because I'm not working. It's not work for me at all. It's just, I just wake up and do what I love to do.
Or even like the other student, Brooke. She lives in Halifax, Virginia. And she drives 2 hours each way as well. But unlike Bo, she was pregnant. And she never missed a day.
Dedication.
She never complained.
Ready.
And she came to school happy every day and gave her all. And the thing is, too, right? Most people look at school as being long and it's drawn out.
I used to.
But think about it this way. If it's your passion, right? And when you don't miss days, you don't make excuses, it flies by.
if you're making the most of your time, it does.
See, at first I was like, man, you know, I was drawn out on the class. I wasn't ready because I was still in the mindset before I came to school of what I was doing out there.
Right.
And I was like, man, I ain't trying to do this. I'm ready to get outside or do whatever it is that I was doing. Ball with my son, whatever the case may be. Sitting at the crib playing the game, eating, just chilling. And then you know, I don't want these younger girls to tell me what I need to do, this and another, which that's their job, you know, whatever. But as I grew longer in it, because I'm over 1,000 hours now, and it seemed like yesterday I started. But anyways, I was like, no, I didn't want to do not too much. But now, man, I love the school part, going there and listening and learning. And
I mean, it's important because the more you invest it in yourself, and that's one of the things that new barbers and new students need to learn in all of the fields, like cosmetology, barbering, aesthetics, nails. When you start off with a bang, because the time will go by so quick.
yeah,
When you start, don't miss days. Learn how to prioritize your time. Ask a previous student, how did you get by school? What did you do to help yourself? Because even looking at like Colton and Jeremiah,
They blew by. It's like they weren't even there.
it seemed like they wasn't even
They
there.
were there for like 3 weeks. It seemed like because
They
they were there every single day.
They never missed days, and when they had time to make up hours, they made hours up.
Colton's last 3 months, he slept in a camper to make up that last time, and he would stay day, night, go to the gym at lunchtime. The dude never went home.
So the unique thing about Colton is he lives about an hour and a half away, 2 hours away,
he
maybe.
lives a hike away from
So what he did, he knew he couldn't go home. He didn't want to drive that 2 hours every day. So he stayed in the camper, his girlfriend's camper, something which was halfway to school. So he would come to school and go back and stay in the camper.
no running water.
that's dedication, hard work, like determination.
But that's an investment in yourself.
See,
You're
that's
investing
the
in
thing.
yourself.
At first, wasn't into it. I didn't get my clippers. You know, I'm watching everybody else. I didn't have my kids, so I was like, nah, man, I don't know if this is for me or not. But now that I started cutting and gradually started talking to people, and my cuts are getting better now, I just love going to school. I just love the whole process.
It's becoming your passion. And what people have to understand
I love
is
to make money off of the things that I love to do. I think
that's a game changer. The key thing you said, when you make money off of something that you love to do.
That's it.
When you're making money off of something that you love to do.
I think that's the key of life.
Sometimes, like at work, I feel bad for charging people because we'll have a great conversation with somebody. You put a dope haircut on them, and you're like, "Ah, man,
I gotta charge you now."
It's $30. It's like, yeah.
I mean, but that's hey.
They understand. They know what they're going through.
I mean, that's what it's in the Bible, man. You gotta get compensated for your work
For sure.
in a good
I
way.
hate it when they try to tip me, like in school, they do that, and I'm like, man, please just keep it. I don't need it, to keep it.
I mean, but also
And
tip is a
just
form
say,
of gratitude too.
Yes, that's a great job, thank you type deal, but it just hurt. It's hard for me for them to give me a $2-3 because I already know that they're hurting. Yeah, I'm hurting too, just as bad, but not as bad as some of those people.
Talking about tips, I had one of the
It's
most
just hard for
interesting
me to
things
charge
about
people.
tips the other day. Where the tips come about, and I think anybody listening to this podcast, look that up in your own time. How the tips come about?
Yeah, how did they?
It's an interesting thing. It's a long conversation. We don't have time in this podcast for that.
Is it interesting?
It's real interesting. It is really
I'm
interesting.
gonna listen to it on the way home.
It is really interesting. You get an opportunity to look it up. How the tips come about?
YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, pull it up. And it was the most interesting thing ever.
What's the biggest tip you ever got, Craig?
The biggest tip I ever got, it wasn't even monetary. It was more so advice in the relationship that I built with people. That's so much more than any tip that I've gotten. And I guess the biggest tip is to, go into barber school and boss it out. Or be your best barber you can be.
I remember you've spoken on that event several times where the client turned around and said, Craig, that isn't a sacrifice. That's an investment in yourself. And
So
that was a life-changing event for you.
So that was the biggest tip.
That's what's hard for me.
That was the biggest tip, actually. And Thomas Hennon, good friend of mine, has cut his hair. And I'll share that with you, too. So I was getting ready to go to barber school to get my instructor license. And the only place I could go to barber school to get my instructor license was 4 hours away. 4 hours away. And I was like, hey, Thomas, I got to go to barber school. There's nothing around here. I checked in Knoxville. I checked in Chattanooga. And, yeah, I got to take this I got to sacrifice and go to Nashville. And I was kind of talking about it like it was a negative thing. But then instantly a light bulb came on. He said, Craig, he looked at me and said, that's not a sacrifice. You invested in yourself. That's an investment. So from that day forward, I would always flip-flop those words, sacrifice and investment. Because sacrifice seems like it's such a negative word, you're not getting nothing from it.
That's how I feel.
An investment seems like when you put something in, you expect a return.
Well, at first, I felt like I was a sacrifice.
Right.
Because I'm like, damn, I'm paying to go to school because I didn't know much about the grants and stuff, but they do have good grants and everything. And I think if I go up there, they will help me take the rest. But I was like, dang, I'm sacrificing, giving them this money, not making no money, you know. My mind state is, look at all these people that's barbers. These are all barbers, and there's people that graduated before them. But it's going to come, the competition's going to be tough. I'll never get that money back. But then, as I'm cutting and getting better and starting to just do my thing, I know that I might not be the richest and best barber, but I know that I'll have a clientele built based enough to get that money back plus some.
That's an investment.
So, because I think just in the past 2 months, I see myself grow as mentally and physically when it comes to the barbering and.
But the investment that you're getting from barber school, people think that the only thing that they get out of barber school, we talked about it last week, is learn how to cut hair. You build friendships that's lifelong. You build a network of people that's lifelong. You learn a skill that's going to teach you, give you a job for the rest of your career.
Rest of your life.
Rest of your life.
Anywhere you're at, you can make money. Anywhere you're at any time, even if you're older.
Two heads at the poker game last night.
You see what I'm saying?
That's dope.
So
I brought it up, like I cut and showed pictures. He said, let me go. He done lost his money, so I cut for him.
So the quicker you prioritize yourself.
I just try to get out there.
And get out of school, the better off you're going to be. The better off you're going to be, the quicker you're going to start earning the income for yourself. What do you think, Beck?
I think, like, kind of what Randall was saying, like how at first you kind of feel iffy about, like not even iffy, you just kind of, it's not as motivating, like your first couple, I feel, weeks at school. But when I found that quote that I told you about, it really changed my perspective on school and life in general. It was, how can I complain there's too much on my plate when my goal was to eat?
That's big.
Wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
Who was it by? Who's the quote by, you know?
It didn't even say. It just was. It just popped up on my For You page.
And
it was written.
She's like, Craig, I got a quote for you.
So I know it. You gotta go hard.
It blew my mind, and I think about it like every day.
Sounds like a good tattoo. I like that.
Yeah. And I was like thinking, I'm like, that's literally how I feel. Like I've been through, like everyone else. We've all been through so much, and
Everyone.
Yeah, and we feel, as people feel like, man, if I could just get out of this situation. If I could just get out of this situation. And I had the same mindset. I'm like, man, I just want to be a barber. I want to do this. I want to make these goals. I want to get out of the house, move out of my mom's house. And then I moved out my mom's house. Then I had to pay bills. So now it's the real world. And you're like, never mind, let me come home. But now I'm thinking, I'm like, everything that I prayed for and everything that I wished for, and
it's happening.
It's happening. But it's not the way I thought it was, but that's because I'm on my way there. And I can't complain that this school's too hard. Well, if I think school's hard, when I get out into the actual barbering world, what do I think it's going to be? And I got to put that in my mind every day so I stay motivated and know what my end goal is.
And I can sense a passion in your voice. And I've seen Randall, I know he's going to be successful as well, but you got to take that energy you have and you got to bottle up and keep it. Right now, you're new and you're hungry. Just like Craig's quote says, make your first like your last like your first, make that everything. You got to bottle that up and carry that with you all the way through your career. And it's so awesome to listen to hear you speak, just to hear that energy. And it just gives me chills because like I remember, and I'll still try to be like that. Yeah, I still try to be like that.
That's when your passion comes in.
I was thinking when he said, learn from your hardships, the 10 Commandments he made, that I think learn from your hardships is one of them. I think that's it. Like right now, you're going through your hardships, your cuts.
Well, most students, when they come to school, their whole focus is on just doing the dopest fade.
Yeah.
Getting those clippers and put it in their hands. And when the clippers are not in their hands the first week, they get discouraged.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to be able to do this?
That's my favorite part when they show up and they.
You know who kept me in school?
Oh.
First, my man that I was talking to put me in school, but me and Bobby started the same day. He good ops to Bobby because I'm like, man, I'm just gonna quit. I ain't coming tomorrow, Bobby. Nice to meet you. You know, you're a good dude. This ain't for me. He's like, man, just come, just keep coming, man. I promise you it'll get better. So he motivated me to keep coming. So
Seeing the Barbers come into the school.
and he's a good person too. He was a lot different then. You know, he was more open-minded, trying to act like. I guess he's trying to please everybody, so he was a little bit more outgoing.
But you don't know what you don't know, and you want to. You don't understand. You have still there because you have 10 months to a year to complete this task, and 10 months to a year to complete this task, and in your first 2 weeks, you feel defeated, like you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're not giving yourself 11 months and 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Completed anything. I got my GED, and I also got my carpenter's apprentice. But that was just because I was in the classrooms for so many hours, you know.
Right.
It wasn't like I did do a nice frame or whatever, but, you know, I never really actually completed nothing, probation, anything. But I know I'm going to complete this, but if it wasn't for Bobby though, like it's just somebody in my ear being positive, let me know, you know, that he's going to be here with me. He's fresh. He was new too, so what I'm feeling, he's feeling. We can go through it together. You know, we'll be good, whatever. And he kept me on the right path.
But the important things of what you're saying, what you guys saying, is that there's going to be students from across the world who are listening to what you're saying, and it's going to help them because their thought process and their perception is, man, this is tough. This is not going to get better.
It gets easier, but harder at the same time.
It's a iffy situation. I feel you.
More problems thing.
Well, it's not even that it gets. I would say it gets harder. It's just that you raise the bar for yourself. So why drop it?
Yeah.
You raise the bar, and you got to keep climbing. Why drop for yourself? So it's not that it's getting harder. It's just that, it's just a new challenge. And when you have a new challenge, you start over.
And growth is an uncomfortable thing. Anytime you're growing, I mean, on paper it sounds good, but in reality, growth is uncomfortable. It's something you got to get used to.
Yeah,
growth.
The 10 Commandments. And
that's one of them. I think growth something.
Don't be afraid of something about your comfort zone.
Don't be afraid to lose is that one, but I think something about growth.
Yeah,
growth.
Don't let growth stop you from getting outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It will grow.
Yeah.
In school, and it will feel uncomfortable. Like I remember, like Craig
being
has to
uncomfortable
get me out of
is
school
growth
has
or
to
something.
take me out of class.
It's good.
All the time, and take me outside, and it's like, hey, we need to talk. Keep your head up, smile. And I'm like, I'm trying. I'm like anxious, but I'm trying. Like, and it's not even that. It's like, because in school, I always had a really hard time in like high school and stuff, and it's not even that I have a hard time now. It's that I want to do so good, and like people all the time are like, listen, you're doing great. But this is what you need to work on. But don't get discouraged. This is learning. You have to learn. And
positive criticism is good.
Constructive.
And it's really, but it's helped a lot. Not even just for barber school, but in life. Like when I'm at work or if I'm doing something I can't get, I'm like, I'm still learning this, or I'm not just gonna wake up and know how to do this. Like I got to put in the effort. I got to put in the work, and I got to make sure that I do it in a way that I understand it so I can be the best.
Acknowledge your wins.
I'm glad you have that attitude. For me, when I first started, I would get angry at myself. I would be upset at myself, and I would eventually turn it into like a positive, motivating thing. But to have that outlook, like, yeah, I'm still growing. At first, when I first started cutting hair, I didn't have that. I would just be upset and just continue to push myself. And not that you're not doing that with your attitude, but it makes you feel less than if you think like that.
Most definitely. That's exactly how I felt.
One of my first haircuts, my anxiety was so up, I was sweating, I was starting to get nauseous and everything. I just quit. I just gave it up and let the instructors and somebody else take over. And I felt bad for the guy, but It was a good haircut. It's whenever it took me forever to do it because I was taking a long time to do the haircut because I'm looking at every little thing, taking the steps, going slow as possible. But his dad keeps just coming in there just staring at me. So, my anxiety went up real bad. And, I got everything. So I just was sweating and everything. I just couldn't focus on the haircut.
And that's the key thing,
so
too.
I just had to stop and let everybody else do it.
And that's tough, too, whenever parents come in and want to stare you down and make sure you do the right haircut or the best haircut for their kid.
When I very first
and not
started.
understanding that, hey, you in the school and these kids are learning. So when you staring them down, you putting pressure.
A lot of pressure. He looking at me like, come on, man, you been here too long. But
the thing is, too, you have to understand to cut students some slack. If you want that pressure of a great haircut with no unbalanced lines, just flawless, go to a regular shop and pay the regular price, $25, $30 for the kids.
Yeah.
He said they don't want to do it.
They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They want to go get because there are talented students in school. There are talent, but they had to start just like every other student started. They had to start at the bottom. And they know that they are talented students there, so they can get a cheaper haircut, a good quality haircut for cheaper. But when they get with the younger student, they sometimes feel like they want to get upset about it. But the younger student, the newer student, had to learn just like the older student did.
This will be a podcast for later. But and I just thought about it, should there be like a level system with the haircut prices in school? So, for instance, like a
senior student
maybe like $15.
That's elite right there, Craig.
Or
you should do the research on that yourself.
I believe that'd be a good idea.
I'm thinking. I just thought about the senior students like $13. 6 months, 7 month students probably like $8, and new students probably their first 2 months of school $5.
We were just talking about this the other day too.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah, because I think it alleviates some stress on some students in itself.
And what people don't realize is everything you do in life, from the time you were born to now, you have had to learn how to do. We weren't born and were able to walk. We had to learn. And people don't, just like how we feel when we're trying to learn something, we're getting frustrated.
Right.
Other people will get frustrated with us for trying to learn. Sir, you had to learn whatever you do for a living. You had to learn that. You weren't just born and
as a career, as a craft.
And know how to put in, build a house. You didn't know that.
Yeah.
They just need to go in there with the concept of, okay, this is school. I need to have at least an hour of free time, and I know I might not get the greatest cut, but I'm helping somebody else grow to be greater, and the hair grow back. And next time I come in, there'd be a probably nicer cut.
So one of the key things is to prioritizing your time, yourself, with school. Once you do that, it makes everything go smooth. You learn better. You grow better. So it's important to prioritize, because if you don't have time to study for your test. You don't have time to practice. You don't have time to be the best barber you're going to be. And when your life is prioritized, a couple things you can do is talk to your family members. I don't think people talk to their family members, their friends, their spouses, and significant others. Let them know, hey, I'm going to school, and I'm really passionate about this, and this is what I want to do. So any way which way you can help me, it would be helpful. Because I'm pretty sure if you go have a conversation with one of your friends, bless you, Z.
Bless you, big man.
One of your good friends one day and say, hey, I'm starting school, and it's going to be 12 months, but I'm going to need you to help me because I need to prioritize, put some priority in my life to make some things work. I think your friends would understand it and will more likely help you.
Yeah, all my friends showed out when that's my first. Those are your first clients, or your friends.
I don't really, be honest with you, as weird as it sounds, I know everybody, but I really don't have any friends that I talk to on a regular. You know what I'm saying? It's just me and my wife. We don't socialize much with others. Not that it ain't. We don't want to. It's just. I don't know. It's just less people, less drama.
That's probably good for you as far as prioritizing stuff, because
that's why I like going cutting, because I'm starting to. I meet different people. I get to talk about things. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the people that I do know, the family and everything, they don't support it. They think it's a joke. You know what I mean? At first, they think I'm really a joke. Really, you're not cutting. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. So
wherever there's a will, there's a way, and the key is prioritizing your time and your schedule will help you live a balanced life, as far as even a balanced work schedule. I think that's important.
Yeah, and my dad didn't agree with when I first started either. He thought he's like, you're crazy. He's like, you're crazy if you would do that.
Right.
And, and everything happens for a reason. And he eventually saw what was budding from this and saw me grow and got to see like the fruit starting to, starting to ripen on the tree.
Right.
And then his perspective changed too, because sometimes you just got to show him what you're growing.
That's true. That's big.
And starting at a young age, making sure you keep the right friend group, I think is important. For me, that's how I started. I saw people, like I have I was like one of the youngest cousins. So I saw all my older cousins getting in, some with great crowds, other ones with terrible crowds. And I think that when you live and you learn, you'll get into a group that you probably shouldn't be in, and you'll learn from that. But I think starting at a young age, having good friends, like I have friends that I'm still friends with since 4th grade. Or I have friends that still text me every day since I moved to Tennessee, and they're like, hey, I see what you're doing. I'm proud of you. Know that no matter what, like when you come to Florida, we got people that need cuts and stuff like that. Like.
But the important thing that you said, right, and I just picked some of what I just learned from you, is also to prioritize your time and your schedule in your life, you have to have a good friend group.
Friends are important.
You have to have a good support system. When you have that, it helps prioritize your time.
And I wouldn't be nowhere close to where I am in my career without my friendship with Craig Charles. I mean, he opened up a lot of doors for me. And that all started with like a leap of faith, like just hitting somebody up on Instagram and then having a genuine conversation and building a relationship. Those things are what it's all about. That's what life is about, building those relationships with people and getting through life together, because we're all dealing with a lot of the same things, whether it's, investing in a career or trying to prioritize our family. That is something that all of us have to deal with and maneuver through in our lives. And having friends that understand what that's like is just as valuable. A great friend, that's major.
And I will always say I have been very blessed with great support systems, whether it be in school. Like I still talk to a lot of the teachers I used to have and message them. And if I need advice, or sometimes they text me for advice now that I'm older. Or I have just, like now I'm in school and I didn't realize how I was literally coming into a huge family. Like I'm the only female student right now, and I feel like I have 1,000 big brothers. and people are like, that's not overwhelming? I'm said, no, because everything that I've been told and they tell me, I know is out of love and out of wanting me to grow. Like, and Shay and all the instructors and stuff, they make sure, hey, like if I'm getting stressed out, Shay's like, hey, you need to go outside real quick, take a 5, come back.
I love it because, I have a kid, and I'm there for them, which is him and his mom. That's my family, you know what I'm saying? But when you say you had a big support system, it's great, awesome. But, I didn't really have a support system, period. I was trying to take care of the family, so that's why I made a lot of mistakes, whatever. But when I finally came there, I felt like I had a family as one, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to get along with everybody. Everybody ain't going to be your friend. You ain't going to like everybody. But you're going to have a relationship with everybody in some sort of kind of way.
It's going to be a mutual respect.
There's a few people you'll meet there that you'll talk to. You like one of the best people I talk to and catch advice with, and we'll sit and talk for hours, is Vic.
Right.
I like sitting with Vic.
But that's the good thing. You're going to find some good people, and that's the thing that people underestimate. Getting some good friendships in barber school. Making some great connections. It's more than just having that fade, being the best fader. And if you get your mind off the best fader, your experience will be so much more worthwhile in barber school than just being the best fader.
And a lot of the times, the people that come in and become successful, they're the ones that are always networking with the senior students. They go speak to the senior students and they're talking to them and always getting their opinions. They'll ask them to come over and check out their haircuts. That creating that culture inside of a barber school is very important, that all the information is passed. I mean, I'm sure in some schools people want to keep it all themselves, like, oh, you do this, that, because sometimes barbers are like that. But if you're sharing that information freely, everybody continue eat and grow.
And information can even be shared as far as like how to navigate school. How did you prioritize your time with a kid? Mm-hmm. How did you prioritize your time with a job? How did you navigate that? Because there's people who've done it before you who you can learn from, which is key. As in all good things, it got to come to an end. We've been on a podcast for about an hour now, so it's about time to kind of slow it down and tape out. So what did you guys pick up about this podcast? What did you like about the podcast today? Beck?
I learned a lot, and I think that it's good that we talk and we speak about things like this. There's a lot of people that don't have access, I can't. Like, if I didn't go to school, I would have never met you. I would have never been able to ask you 1,000 questions that I ask you, and I ask Shay and I ask Bobby on a daily basis. I know they're sick of me. And this is a good way for people to connect and understand that we're all from different backgrounds and we come from different lifestyles, but we love the same thing.
We have the same issues.
And we know the way, we have the same issues for it, and we have different ways of figuring it out. But that's what people need to hear, so they know which way they need to go.
What about you, Randall?
What I learned from the podcast today is it's not just about a fade. It's about not the fade, but the experience, the conversation you give the man, the respect, the all around thing. You learn how to talk to people. You learn this and that. You got
how to just be an all around person.
Yeah, you just got you got Craig, you got Micah, you got other people that's been through those doors that you can see and got the blueprint and read from, so you take action in what they're doing, and then you just slowly take your steps by your steps, because it's not going to happen overnight. And I just learned that this barbering industry is so big, and it's money for everyone, and if you just put your mind to it, not look at the small stuff, invest, get the reps done. Yeah, you started here, but show people your progress. That's one thing. Show them your progress, where you started.
Acknowledge your wins.
Acknowledge your wins. Don't be afraid to lose, like you said, because if you're afraid to lose and you just sore hearted, don't be afraid to lose, because you're going to lose, and when you lose, what you need to do is take lessons in those losses and make yourself better and make adjustments on how to be better than those losses. I think that's good, and like you said, be obsessed with the process. Be obsessive with it. Do this, do that, and this, and everything.
Be intentional in your steps.
Yeah.
Make all your steps count.
And have intentions in your steps. It's basically the 10 Commandments.
Yeah,
man.
10 Commandments is dope. We're gonna jump on it and talk about it again.
Make T-shirts, man. The 10 Crown Cutz Commandments.
The 10. Yep, we will. Well, shout out to my man Z Nice over in the corner. His first podcast in 5 months. Hey man, he was just chilling, harmless. Z, when we ask you to talk, you didn't say a word. What's going on with you?
Hey, man.
Z,
you say something now?
You know you're going to be born in this podcast. You're going to have many more podcasts to come, Mr. Z.
He's already a celebrity. He's already working on his
man, you've been podcasting more than I have about it.
What you think about the podcast, eh?
I think it's great, man. I especially love coming to talk with new barbers. It gives me so much more energy. I think that anybody that's a barber right now should try to go volunteer, teach a class at the school. Don't hold up all this information you have. You got to share it freely.
Go in there and volunteer.
Exactly, and it's such a rewarding thing to just be able to share and what you learn from newer barbers as well, because I forgot who it was. There's an artist that said there always be something new to keep the record turning. So one day you ain't gonna be the hip barber. You know what I'm saying? You ain't always gonna be that hip new barber. There's gonna be new barbers coming in to replace you. So you need to always stay connected.
And I think what I want to talk about next is, what other things that I know we've tapped in on it a little bit before, Ammi, but the next podcast is, what other things can you do when you get bored of school? What are other things you do when you get, not even school, when you get bored of the industry?
Yes.
When you're in the industry and you get just bored of being a barber.
Burnout is real.
Burnout is real. What can you do to prevent burnout? You can't prevent it, but you can have some things to subside to help you go through it. Like it's being part of the podcast.
Being a podcast, going to hair shows.
Going to hair show.
Teaching at schools.
We're going to talk about it on the next. There's so many different outlets in this barber industry that can take you to the next level so you don't get bored.
It's more than standing behind a chair talking.
It's so much more. It's so much more than standing behind a chair, because like we travel going across the country, just teaching with the mental health aspect of barbering, that I didn't see that there was even something that would evolve to that.
And people gravitate a lot more to that. Excuse me, sorry to interrupt you, but people gravitate more to that, even more so than talking about cutting hair.
Right.
Because everybody's going through something. There is somebody going through something everywhere we go.
Yes.
And it's nice to bring light to that.
Real.
Mental health is real.
Barbering helps. It helps calm the mind and get you away from the real world for a minute.
Hey man, this is a $32 billion industry a year.
Yeah,
$32 billion industry.
There's plenty of it for everyone, and it's just all about how you apply yourself, the grind you put in, and how you carry yourself as a person. You got to be professional about it. You can't go in there, all this and that, hip hop, whatever the case may be. You got to be professional. You got to treat every client the same, and don't turn down haircuts. You're harming yourself whenever you do that, because therefore you're selling yourself short. You ain't gonna be able to get the extra dollar.
Shout out to FeedSpot again for ranking us in the top 25 podcasts in the world, top 25 podcasts in the country, and shout out to Spotify for sending us some great information this past week, showing how we progress on this in this market, how we are impacting this industry from Johnson City, Tennessee, where most people don't even think one of the best podcasts in the world has started.
47 countries.
47 countries.
We have grown 111% this year. 111%. That's
a blessing right there.
That's major. In the U.S., in the U.K., in Iceland.
Iceland. So it was the most random country I felt like. I would have never even thought about Iceland. But Iceland, shout out to everybody listening from Iceland. Hit us up on Instagram. We want to hear from the people that live in Iceland. I don't know nothing about Iceland.
In the UK, in the Caribbean, all over the world.
We also want to hear the others too, the ones that's all over. We just want to hear.
And my favorite spot is Madagascar. We're gonna do a live show to Madagascar.
I wish they had the list of countries. If Madagascar was on there, I would have went stupid.
We just gonna fly down there and we're just gonna set up a podcast.
Let's do it.
We're gonna do it at a hotel. I don't know, in the middle of downtown, whatever the downtown is in the downtown in Madagascar. We coming. We're gonna set up.
We say it in the content, it's got to be some algorithm to put us out there.
Yes. Again, Barber College Success brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, and downtown. Craig's Crown Cutz, downtown Johnson City. Appreciate our loyal fans. Share the podcast. Tell someone about it. Give us a like. Give us a review. Let us know what you think, because again, we love what we do, and we spend some time coming up with some content for you guys, for our valued and listeners. We appreciate you. Again, Barber College Success. Peace.